have to say it's my honor to be here, and I have to admit that I'm not here as an expert to share with you principles or formulas to be successful. I'm here simply to share with you my story and my discoveries about life, and I hope there might be something in it that resonates with you. So when preparing for the talk, many ideas came across my mind, and one idea stood out. I asked myself, as an educator, if there is one big takeaway I want my students to have after they leave my class, what would it be? And as an entrepreneur, what is the one big takeaway that I want my staff, my team to have when they work with me? And no matter what role I hold, there is one common takeaway that I want all of them to have. It's the ability to think differently. There are so many ways to think differently and approach problems from unique angles. And for me, the ability to think differently really opens so many opportunities. Breaking away from conventional thoughts has relieved the pressure we often feel. So let's start with the basics. So I'm 37 years old, and I'm still a papa's girl. Anybody here is a papa's girl? Mama's boy? Awesome. Yeah. So a little bit about my dad. So he joined the Army when he was 18, and he was retained as a lecturer after he graduated. Eventually, he left the school and, tried different jobs. But he always wanted something more, something different, especially after having me and my sister. So he decided to start his own garage, completely different from whatever he's done before. So he transformed himself from a clean-cut officer to a mechanic who spent most of his time under trucks and cars and covering in grease and dirt. To others back then, he was crazy. But to him, his bold decision has brought our family a much brighter future. And looking back, one of the most valuable lessons that he taught me is the power of thinking differently. His willingness to break away from conventional paths and carve his own way has shown me that true success often comes from daring to be different. And embrace this mindset. This empowers me to make unconventional choices, crazy decisions sometimes. And that's also the first story I want to share with you today. How thinking differently can lead me to find my passion. So a little flashback when I first started university, 18 years old. Like many of you here, we face the uncertainty of future, career prospect, peer pressure, and what kind of job that suits us best after we graduate. And for me, I was always believed that if I had a chance to explore and work in a real business environment early in university, I would have a higher chance to discover what suits me best. And for students, internships is considered the best choice for us to explore the professional workplace. However, internships usually only available for third-year students or senior students. And I was thinking, why do I have to wait 3 years to start my internship? And why we have to limit ourselves in only one internship? We can do 2 or even 4 during 4 years in a university, as long as there are companies that are willing to accept us. So I decided not to sit around and wait. I need to do it differently. So I consider it as a searching mission to find what I like to do. So first, I make a list of interests. I try to think all the industries that I like to do, that I'm interested in, know more about it. So when I was 18, I wrote down 5 interests in the list. There were hospitality, banking, fashion, real estate, and education. And comes to the next question. What I'm going to do next? How can I find which one is the best for me? And I figure out I have to try them all. Probably that's the only way. So the search officially started. At the first summer after I finished my freshman year, I decided for my first internship in hospitality. And I aimed at Park Hyatt Saigon. Anybody know Park Hyatt Hotel? Yeah? And I did something crazy. I hopped on my scooter. It's Cúp 50. In Vietnamese, we call it Cúp 50. I drove straight to the front door of the 5-star hotel. And of course, I soon got directed by the security man to the back entrance, where I literally got a hard copy of application form, filled it in, stuck my profile photo in, and handed it to them. 2 weeks later, I got a call and did an internship there for almost 2 months. After the internship, I enjoyed it, working at a fancy hotel, but I realized it's not something for me. So the search continued. Second summer, after I finished a sophomore year, I had my second internship in fashion. So I applied and I got an internship with a fashion brand called Orange. It's a local brand back then. I had 2 months there. After the internship, I enjoyed it, but I realized that's also not something for me. The search continued. Third summer after the junior year, I decided I want to try banking. And I applied to work for HSBC. Luckily, I got accepted to HR department and work at learning and development team. I enjoyed working there, and one of the most, valuable lesson that I learned at HSBC is that before, I always think when we finish university, we're done with studying. We're done with exams. But it's different. So at HSBC, I saw they have a detailed training plans for every employee at all levels. And I realized that learning is truly a lifelong process. So very, very great experience. After the 6 months internship, I enjoyed it, but again, this is not something for me. The search still continues. So in the list of 5 interests, I already checked 3. Not something for me. So I had 2 left. So the 4th summer, after senior year and also graduate, I applied and worked for real estate. I worked at Savills for a year, and then I realized, again, it is not something for me. Now what I'm going to do? In 2011, I started my MBA. And then I graduated in 2012. Only 1 interest left in my list, and I couldn't think of anything else. It's education, but I still hesitated to try it. And then by chance, I ran into my professor at the university that I learned before. And we exchanged greetings after a long time. We chat-chit a little bit. And then she unexpectedly asked me whether I want to teach at a university. And I think, say yes before knowing how, I guess. I decided to give it a shot, but I didn't have so much expectation about it. But surprisingly, I loved it. Working with the students is extremely rewarding. And not only the enjoyment of come to the class and work with young students, but also the meaning that my work impact their learning journey. So at first, I decided I tried for 1 semester, but then 1 year went by. I still loved it. And 3 years went by. I'm still in love. And probably, that's it. Finally, I found my true calling. Something that I love doing and something I can envision myself in the next 10, 20, or even 30 years. And I was just thinking, wow, you might think it's a long journey. I have tried 5 interests in order to understand what I want. And if I had prioritized education earlier, I wouldn't save, I would save time spent on exploring other 4 options. However, thinking differently, I would not realize education is my true calling without trying the first 4 industries. So you may have 3 interests, 5 interests, or 20 interests, but one might grab you. One might engage with you more than anything else. And for me, the ability to think differently and act on it is the key for me to find out my true calling and my passion. And then you might find, wow, such a happy ending, right? Finally, at the age of 25, I found my passion. Happily ever after. But no, it's different. And the second story I would like to share with you why knowing our passion is only the beginning of the game. So I kept teaching at a university for 4 or 5 years. In 2016, I pursued my doctoral degree. My research was in entrepreneurship. I'm always curious and excited to discover the stories and the theories of entrepreneurship and how young entrepreneurs can turn their dreams into reality. In 2020, I graduated. And at the day that I finished my thesis defense, I closed my laptop and a question struck me. Ying, what's next? Going back to university and teach full-time seemed predictable. And there's something. My heart was trying to say something. And that something, the inner calling was pushing me to do something different. So I guess after years, the search continued. And the willingness to try something different has opened opportunity for me. I found QuickCom, a company dedicated to build video communication platform. And I had crossed paths with Dr. William Nguyen, the founder and the visionary behind QuickCom. He was an Alfred Sloan Research Fellow at Harvard Medical School, and I was also in education. So we shared the same passion in education, in free fostering knowledge exchange on a global scale. And we believe that this creates transformative opportunities for everyone via video communication. So I joined QuickCom right before the pandemic, when our technology has proved the value the most. And looking back, it was like jumping on a speeding train. And we have served 3 million hours of video communication, video conferences. We have brought thousands of business conferences and events online. It's a fulfilling journey, and I'm glad I made that decision. So sometimes people ask me if I give up my education career to run the business. And something cool? Running QuickCom doesn't mean that I give up my love for education. Thinking differently, I joined a team to build a platform that facilitates knowledge exchange among millions of people in the world. And education goes beyond traditional classroom settings. It presents in every aspect of our life. In this event, in the office, in the art factory, on the street, or on a digital platform. And this perspective really brings a sense of relief that no matter what I do, I continually engage in education. To summarize, there are so many ways to think differently and approach problems in a unique angles. And I want my students to develop this ability. I'm lucky to keep in touch with many of my students after they graduate. And they often come to me and say how seeing different point of view and viewing the situation differently can help them. And I encourage them to break away from conventional paths, think differently. It will open so many opportunities, innovative solutions, and real success to the world. So ladies and gentlemen,